The Blazers push the Warriors push back, and we know who wins that shoving match. Steph and Clay and company moving on. Bart goes yard. Heck, what park can contain those Mets pitchers these days? And details. Our viewers, Macy, I think they're demanding details of the much anticipated Mark versus Macy fantasy baseball battle. I have no idea what happened. So I would like some details as well. So maybe we can look that up and share the details with everyone.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's a win in your category, Mark.
Okay, yes, this is the Mark and Macy show every Thursday night. Let's not give it away. I'm just kidding. But this is, our show on Thursday nights. And we come your way each and every week on Blab. Blab's holding up for us tonight, so that's a good thing. How are you tonight, Macy?
I'm good. It was finally like a nice day out, so it felt nice to be outside and not be in the rain. Like always, it's Thursday, so happy for that, and just looking forward to the weekend, and just enjoying that.
So, I would like for people to know, and we may have mentioned this last week, that you put together a demo reel that's out there, right?
I did. New stuff through 2016. This show is not on it yet, but on my website, I do have all the links to our videos as well, plus our website. So those all mix and mingle. So that's great. And I also saw, Mark, you have a demo reel out.
Yeah, but mine's not nearly as fun to watch. So mine has a certain purpose. Then I thought, you know what? I'll put it out there, even though that's not what it's for. I will put it out there. So if anybody needs a top flight sportscaster, there's your girl. Just one thing, please don't steal her away from me. I need her on Thursday nights. Okay. So I will give all sorts of recommendations that's the person you need to find right there. She's right there. But again, if you can just give me like an hour a week, that would be nice, because I'd like to keep our little show here. So very good. Very good. So I did watch some NBA last night. So what's funny is, before we started the show tonight, Macy's letting me know that she hasn't really been keeping up with the NBA. And Macy, you've been the one that's been talking a lot more NBA than I have, going all the way back to October. And I actually kind of got into it last night. The Warriors were pushed to the limit by the Blazers. The Blazers played a great game and a great series. It's about as close a 4-1 series as you can imagine. And we all know about Klay Thompson, and we know about, of course, Steph Curry, but the Blazers backcourt matched them. It was an exciting game, just two dynamic offenses. They both scored into the 120s. It was a great game, but the Warriors, of course, as expected, move on and wait for the winner of OKC and San Antonio. Do you have any rooting interest in any of this?
No, honestly, I think what really ended basketball season for me, and I don't think there's going to be anything cooler and more special, was Kobe Bryant retiring. So I kind of felt once he retired and that, played his last game and all this, I think that was like the biggest thing that we're going to see all season. The Warriors already had like such a great season that, most people aren't going to be able to top. So, not that I'm really rooting for them, but I think they have a pretty good chance. I don't know. I don't really, not that I don't care too much about basketball. I didn't grow up really die hard rooting for basketball. I just like to watch a basketball game if I'm out and about, or if I'm home and there's nothing else on. So, whoever wins it, just, I hope it's like a good series.
You know why there's a smirk on my face while you talk about all that is because when we started doing these shows, basketball wasn't even on the radar, and you were bringing up all these NBA topics, and I thought I would just have to slug it out all winter, all spring into the summer talking about the NBA. And hey, if you want to let me off the hook, that's fine with me. We can just talk football and baseball. That's the wheelhouse for me.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think like during the season there were so many things going on. You know, we talked about the Sixers who were off to one of the worst starts in NBA history. We talked about Steph Curry and the Warriors and how they just took off and they were such a dynamic team and all the possibilities that they were going to have this season, whether it was winning, 60 plus games or 70, taking our bets on that. There were just so many different things that we had to talk about. And I think everything tonight kind of ended up where we expected it to be in the playoffs. There's no surprises. There's no shocks. There's no this. It's just NBA playoff basketball.
Okay, this is the Mark Macy Show. You can catch us on Twitter as well. You can catch us on YouTube. Although, unfortunately, the title is going to be Mark Rogers right now. I need to fix that. That's my bad. But and you can check us out on our website, markandmacyshow.webs.com. All right, that's enough of the NBA for me as well. I think the Cavaliers are going to just coast through the East. They're going to be in good shape. They've won 2 series, 4-zip. I think they get past Toronto, who looks to be advancing to the Eastern Conference Championship. And then hopefully somebody can give Warriors a good series, because even though this was close and I thought it was exciting, it was still 4-1. All right. I thought the most entertaining sports moment of the week, and we might be going back to last weekend, is something that you brought up, Macy, and it's your boy Bartolo Colon. Bart going yard in San Diego. That was a great moment. That was hilarious.
Yeah, you know what? So I didn't watch that game, West Coast game, East Coast. I'm obviously 3 hours into sleep. But I woke up and I saw, the updates on my phone, and I couldn't believe it. It was all over Twitter that Cologne hit the home run, and, people went crazy. The craziest thing, though, I have seen all week relating to that is a Mets fan, part of the 7 line, which I'm part of the 7 line army, said if Bartolo Colon hits a home run this season, I will get a commemorative tattoo. This guy, no joke, got a half sleeve face of Bartolo Colon and, some other couple things, and I think the date on his entire arm for the home run.
I hope everybody else got the entire story. I was trying to piece together the So as part of the 7 line, whatever you call yourselves, did I mess that up? 7 line, you're the 7 line.
Yeah. No,
7 line army. Who does this consist of? The 7 line army. I don't have such affiliations. I'm not really that popular. So what is the 7 line army?
So the 7 line army is a group of Mets fans that have traveled around to all different ballparks to support the Mets. And this was before, they were really, really that great, last year. And it's just a thing that has built. There's a clothing line from it, the 7 line, the calendar, which I was in. So the group itself considers themselves the 7 line army because they do takeovers throughout stadiums and ballparks.
That's pretty interesting. Good stuff. So somebody, how large is this group?
It's a pretty cool thing. There are thousands of fans. I think today on Twitter they had 40 some odd thousand followers. So how many people actually go to outings at a time? I think there's usually about between whether it's a home game or an away game, I would say probably 1,000 or so within a game, and they all wear the same shirt and everything.
All right. Very good. So who promised to get the tattoo? I'm sorry. I missed that part of the story. I was listening intently. It was our little transmission deal.
It was just no, it was just one of the fans. They told their buddy, hey, if Bartolo Colon hits a home run this year, I will get a tattoo.
And this is the first.
And he followed up. He did it.
This is funny.
Yes, the oldest player to hit a home his first career home run.
It was great. I had the TV on at some point late that night and saw the highlights, and yeah, it was just hilarious. And the Mets announcers went crazy. This is historic would not be the right term. It's just novelty. It's just hilarious. The Mets players were going crazy in the dugout, just having a great time with this. And somebody ran a time clock on Bartolo's pace around the bases, and you can imagine it took him forever. Looked like he was chugging around there pretty hard, but it just takes him a while. But he hit a pretty sizable bomb too. He got a good 8 or 10 rows deep.
Yeah, he had some heat to that ball, which I was pretty surprised myself when I saw it. I still was, kind of surprised, and I still kind of am surprised by the whole thing. I've seen him bat, in real life, and you just look at his stance, you look at everything, and you just say, holy cow. But he's gotten, a couple hits. He has a couple RBIs. So, every dog has their day, and I guess the other day was Bartolo Colon's. I have to say my favorite part of that whole thing was obviously the amount of time it took him to run the bases. And also, once he did get back to the dugouts, all the players left and went into the tunnel. So he was there by himself, which I think is a classic move in baseball. But for someone like Bartolo, who's been in the game for so long, for it to finally happen to him, I think that that's a special moment.
So then Noah Syndergaard followed up a couple nights ago with a few bombs at Dodger Stadium. And our boy Phil Murphy of ESPN, I caught a tweet from him the other day. He made some kind of comparison of the Yankee third baseman production versus Mets pitchers production. Get this, baseball fans. Yankee third basemen have batted twice as many times as Mets pitchers, like roughly 100 to 50 times. Mets pitchers now have 3 doubles. They have 3 home runs. They have 8 RBIs. Yankee third basemen have no doubles, no home runs, and like 1 or 2 RBIs. It's pretty astonishing. Noah Syndergaard, your boy, went deep against the Dodgers a couple times.
Yeah, again, West Coast game. Woke up this morning to the highlights and the tweets left and right about Noah Syndergaard not only hitting 1 home run but 2 home runs last night, and then he also drove in all the runs as well. So for a pitcher that is so talented on the mound, and then to step up to the plate and also really produce. It's special.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you had some amazing things to say there, Macy. I'm sorry, I just didn't catch hardly any of it. We're having some issues. So the big Brad Bear. Oh, the big bad Brad. I threw Bear in there. The big bad Brad 50. He is suggesting that you refresh. Oh, okay. In the meanwhile, I'll talk about something that Macy knows nothing about. I mentioned this before we started to record, and it was something that really got to my son. And then once I thought about it, I didn't quite like it myself. It was at the end of the Padres Cubs doubleheader yesterday. So this is the second game. So the Cubs right now are having the best season of any team in the big leagues at 25-6 going into this doubleheader with San Diego. Right? Macy, I'm talking about the situation that you don't know anything about with the shooting of the arrow and the whole deal. So this, you caught the whole thing. Okay, so this is a Cubs Padres doubleheader, and I catch this on the highlights. And at the conclusion of the Padres sweeping the Cubs, who were 25-6 before this, there's a play at first base. If you know Fernando Rodney, he's been a closer in the big leagues with a bunch of teams, the Mariners, the Rays, the Nationals, and he's now with the Padres. He shoots an arrow into the sky. It's obviously a pretend arrow into the sky after he gets the final out. And then, like, his teammates, they'll jump around him and they'll be like looking where it is. So anyway, he's right by the first base bag. Ben Zobrist turns around and they almost run into each other. So Ben Zobrist kind of backs up like this. And then while he's got his hands up there, they high five.
Guess it's the little things for you, Mark, that you find exciting in baseball.
They high five.
No, I'm just kidding. I guess, I don't know. Like I was saying before, you know, if you can be a good sport about losing, I don't know. Like, I guess that's cool. Like, if you're doing something and you just kind of like make it happen without planning it, then I guess you look cooler, right?
Well, my son went crazy about it. He went crazy, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I kind of thought about it because he's like, why is he giving him a high five? He just lost to him, and he's giving him a high five. And I said, well, it's just that they kind of almost ran into each other. So he kind of did this, and then their hands were close, and they just gave him a high five. So it wasn't like they ran across the field to give each other a high five. But then I thought about it, and that's not necessarily I would do as a professional athlete, having just lost a game and right in the middle of my own stadium, giving a high five to the closer who just got me out in a 1-0 game to end the game.
I think about it. Like when I played sports and I played soccer for many years,
did you hear
I had to high five after every game. I didn't like those people, but I still had to high five. So maybe bringing back old school high five in after every game. I don't know. Like that's to me like what sports were for me. You know, you win, you high five, you lose, you high five.
Well, I'm not saying this is like a black and white thing and that what he did was the most horrible thing in the world, because you're right. In most sports, especially at a certain level, you line up. My daughter just played a softball game this afternoon. You line up after the game and you shake hands with the other team. And I think even in as high as the NBA level, at least the coaching staffs kind of cross. And you see that in college basketball where the lines cross and they congratulate each other. So I think that's a good thing. It was just a bit odd, and it just kind of took me back a little bit. Max Scherzer struck out 20 batters last night for the Washington National against the Detroit Tigers. I did not see any of the game. Saw him strike out a few guys. So he has now pitched a no-hitter. He's now pitched a 20 strikeout game, which that's just the 4th or 5th in big league history. So that's kind of tough to do, although batters are striking out much more these days. So not quite as tough as it
absolutely.
Once was,
and
but still,
you know, going back to Noah Syndergaard before I got cut off by this wonderful program of Blab, I was just saying how, you know, not only does he hit 1 home run, but 2. Then he drives in all the runs for that night. So when you have such talent on the mound and then you can take such talent to the plate, you know, you don't see that very often, especially for pitchers to hit a ball out of the park. So I think it's a very exciting time for him. I hope it doesn't all go to his head. He ran around Times Square last week or beginning of this week dressed up as Thor and kind of like mess with people. So it's funny, but maybe that's what's fueling him and like, you know, relaxing him a little bit. Or I'm not sure. You know, Steven Matz was put on another day's rest because of his shoulder or because of his elbow. So maybe they're just trying to do some fun things to keep him loose and keep him going instead of getting stressed out or feeling like the pressure's on them.
I saw where Syndergaard was referred to as Thor on the internet.
Yeah, he's been referred to as Thor since probably last season during playoffs, if not maybe before that. There's actually this adorable little, I think he's like 5 or 6-year-old kid, blonde hair, looks just like Noah Syndergaard, throws an amazing pitch, and he like practices with his dad, and he went viral on the internet. So they call him Mini Thor. It's the cutest thing. Check it out. I'm sure you've seen it. But it's just really cool to be like someone that's, you know, really inspiring kids, inspiring other people. You know, so it's kind of like Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight, has gone into the night and disappeared, and Thor's kind of taking over for the Mets.
Yeah, so as long as you have enough superheroes on your pitching staff, they can pick up for the previous one, then I think you're in good shape. And so they seem to have that covered. I don't know that a lot of people appreciate a pitcher doing that kind of damage at the plate because, number one, they didn't reach the big leagues because they can hit. They're pitchers. Number two, once they get to the big leagues, they don't really practice the craft of hitting. They take a little bit of batting practice on the day that they pitch, but otherwise that's not what they're paid for. And to be able to be the offense on any particular night, in addition to being a superlative pitcher, it's pretty amazing stuff.
I mean, I think that's starting to kind of fall under the category for all athletes. You know, quarterbacks used to just be able to throw a ball. Now quarterbacks have the running threat and the throwing threat, you know. So I think people are just a little more athletic, learning different positions, learning how to do a little bit of everything instead of just having that one certain thing that they can sell themselves on, because then they can say, hey, I'm more than just a pitcher, I can hit, or hey, I'm not just a quarterback who can throw a ball, but I can run.
I've got to say, Macy, that this conversation is just now starting to become enjoyable because I can finally hear like 3 consecutive words out of your mouth. The rest of the like half hour that we've been on, I've been like going. So not the smoothest show, but we're hanging in there. So very nice. Very nice. The next subject I'd like to hit on, I'm going to have to tread a little bit lightly on this one because of my connection to ESPN, my employer. But I think I can do this in a way that neither sides with either one, although I want to clarify the work that's done at ESPN. So what has happened is that Curt Schilling, great Major League pitcher, now a commentator, has been employed by ESPN for quite some time, Sunday Night Baseball, in addition to other broadcasting, Little League World Series, and so forth. So he posted something that I'm not going to get into right or wrong on the internet a couple different times. So he was reprimanded by ESPN, then he was then fired. So that aside, that's happened in the last month. One night last week, there was programming following a softball game on ESPN2 that highlighted Curt Schilling and the Boston Red Sox against the New York Yankees, the epic 2004 ALCS matchup where the Red Sox finally broke through, beat the Yankees, ended the 86-year curse, won the World Series, and whatever the documentary's called. What happened is that the softball game went what we call in the business heavy. It went heavy. It went 8 minutes or 10 minutes long. 4 days in October. Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that. Marty jumps in with that one. 4 days in October. So it's about the Red Sox comeback against the Yankees, trailing 3-0 in the 04 ALCS. So the softball game goes long. The documentary starts. Well, it was a decision by ESPN to cut the programming because they had to get to the next show on time. I saw something on social media about this today, so I did a little investigating, and what happened was the game that Curt Schilling pitched, the famous game with the bloody sock after he had surgery, that was cut. That was the segment that was cut. People immediately responded thinking that ESPN knowingly and deliberately cut that segment when they had to cut some content, and just thought this was a backlash against Curt Schilling, so we're going to exclude him from our programming going forward. That was not what happened. So the department that made that decision is my former department, and a department that we currently still work with. Basically, what they need to do, and it's just strictly a timing issue. It's not a content issue. The game, I understand, went like 9 minutes heavy. They had to cut that time in a combination of programming and also commercial time. So if you need to make up 9 minutes and 25 seconds, you may cut a segment that's 7 minutes and 47 seconds long, and then you cut commercial breaks that span the rest of that time, roughly 90 seconds. It was strictly a timing issue. I looked it up, and I saw columnists all over the country posting again for deliberately cutting the Curt Schilling segment because of their severed relationship and not because of what it is. And being in the middle of that for a number of years, I know exactly what happened, even though in this particular case, I wasn't there to make that decision or be involved in that decision. But I know, based on how the decision's made, exactly what happened. So I can understand how it looked to the media, but I also understand what happened and that it was not an ESPN decision to cut Curt Schilling out of its programming. So that's my commentary for the night.
Okay. Well.
All right. Would anybody like to...
I got probably 4 words of that. 3 of them were Curt. The other one was Schilling.
Oh, no. Okay, at least we got that across. Oh, boy. Did anybody else hear that?
I heard the beginning. The beginning started out okay. And then
I got a yep.
It just went downhill. Once you said about the media, once you started saying the media kind of took over, that's when it kind of went downhill.
Oh, boy. It was a well-explained story, Macy, about the inner workings of network television is what it was, and explaining what happened concerning this programming. So Marty says he got most of it. Steve Haywood from Tech Buzz says, I guess he got it. So unfortunately, this is our plight tonight on Blab. So we usually come through loud and clear. So if this is the first time you're checking us out on a Thursday night, please come back. Please come back and take a seat. And also tweet us during the week and let us know what you would like us to talk about on Thursday night. All right. The other thing I'd like to get to, and maybe we'll do a little abbreviated show tonight since we're having some tech issues. I'd love to get a rundown since I don't know exactly what happened last week with our fantasy baseball matchup. So Macy is the commissioner of our fantasy baseball league, the Mark and Macy Show Baseball League, and we had our much anticipated matchup last week, myself against Macy. Do we know the results of what happened?
Yeah, I'm gonna look them up now. I've got pretty much no phone battery left, so
okay, I will look them up as well.
So I know you beat me because you told me Thursday we were actually playing each other, so it didn't give me much time to change anything that I had really going for me. The Tech Buzz just said, let's go Pens, so we're going to continue to ignore that because I'm a Ranger fan. So back to fantasy baseball.
My response to that would be, let's go Pencils. That would be my response to that. Okay.
All right. Let's see here.
I got it if you don't.
Give it to me. Go ahead.
It's actually a little closer than I thought, but so Sizemore doesn't matter. That would be my team. If I need to explain that, it's a pretty catchy little name I came up with. I'm kind of proud of that. Sizemore doesn't matter. Defeated Jeter's gift basket. You would have to check out the picture and then get the backstory on that one. But I was able to kind of figure it out. I think I was going down a different path though. I won 8-2.
Okay.
And we won't go through the gory details of the runs, the home runs, RBIs, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, my team, they need to steal more bases, and my pitching is kind of marginal. But besides that, I think I'm doing pretty well. And Macy just started this league because she wanted to come up with a catchy name, and then she just kind of like went to sleep and thought, we'll see you next year.
It's a marathon. It's a marathon.
Oh, it is. You're right. It's a marathon. You are right. We actually had somebody send in some.
Yeah, I can't come out
comments.
like, he's an author.
You're going to have to check that out at some point. We have a category suggestion from Bill Brower. He's hoping that we continue this league next
I didn't hear
season.
what you said.
I'm sorry. If you can hear me now, we had one of our team members, one of our owners, make a suggestion. So as commissioner, you'll have to check that out at some point. I'm seeing this right now. He made it on April 21st. So.
Okay.
All right, everyone. I think we'll wrap it up for Thursday night. But again, we have a ton of fun talking sports when we can hear each other on every Thursday night. Usually it's 6:30 here on Blab. And the reason we chose Blab is because of the engagement here, and most of you people that I assume are listening right now or will in the future on the record. That's how you pronounce that. You see the benefit of the Blab engagement and interaction. So that's why we've chose Blab. But sometimes we have some technical issues. So please follow us on Twitter, The Mark Macy Show. All our videos are on YouTube and on our website, which also connects to YouTube, markmacyshow.webs.com. And you know what, Macy? You know what I finally did today, because it hit me while I was tweeting out our show, is that Walter, Knight Rider, he's so nice. He types in, "Great show, guys." Walter, you really don't need to say "great show." You really don't need to go there. We appreciate it. But what I did, Macy, if you check out the tweet from our account a couple hours ago, is that I included
I actually really liked
logo
it
the first time. So we like to thank Mr. Chris Nessie for creating a couple different concepts for us, and that's the one that we chose. And so I actually remembered in the middle of tweeting this out before the show that, hey, we got this logo. I need to start using it. So it just went bam on everybody's Twitter feed.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Good stuff. All right, everyone. We'll wrap it up for a Thursday night. This is the Mark and Macy Show. We will see you next week. And again, remember to join us on Twitter, and you can let us know what you would like us to talk about here on our show. All right, Macy. We'll see you next time.